Kristin Cavallari's emotional roller coaster during her recent reunion with her first boyfriend Johnny was one of the most uncomfortable and revealing moments on her new reality podcast tour, Honestly Cavallari, the headline tour. What was meant to be a sweet, nostalgic reconnection turned into something quite different, awkward, cringeworthy, and deeply disappointing for Cavallari, leaving her visibly upset and publicly venting her frustrations afterward. This unexpected drama unfolded in front of a live audience during a stop in Chicago, and it sparked a wave of reactions from fans and media alike. Kristin had high hopes for the reunion. Before the taping, she shared with viewers that Johnny was her first real love, someone she dated when she was just 13 or 14 years old. They were both young, naive, and very much wrapped up in that intense, early kind of love that stays with you for years. She thought bringing him on her podcast would be a fun way to reflect on the past and offer listeners a look into her formative years. Kristin openly admitted that she'd likely romanticized their relationship in her mind over the years and wanted to know if Johnny had done the same. Her intent was sweet and somewhat vulnerable. She was chasing a bit of clarity, maybe closure, or even a touch of teenage magic brought into adulthood. But things didn't go as planned. Instead of a heartfelt, light-hearted conversation, Kristin was blindsided by Johnny's awkward and seemingly dismissive tone on stage. He made comments that felt off-putting and a little too casual, even flippant, about their young romance. His attitude came across as mocking at times, which clearly caught her off guard. For someone who had been so transparent about her hopes for the moment, it stung. Kristin expected something tender. Instead, she got sarcasm and cold detachment. As the interaction unfolded, you could see the shift in her demeanor. Her body language tightened, and her usually confident, charismatic tone dimmed with clear frustration. To make matters worse, the whole situation had come about partly as a last-minute fix. Kristin had originally planned for another ex, Mark Estes, to appear on that episode. Estes, who had been dating her more recently, backed out last minute. According to Kristin, he didn't want to share the stage with another guest, social media star Harry Josie. Kristin hinted that it was an ego issue on Mark's part, which left her scrambling. With little time to spare, she extended the invitation to Johnny, probably hoping for a safe and nostalgic backup plan. Ironically, it only created more tension than the original guest lineup might have. After the show, Kristin took to social media to vent. She didn't name names outright, but her disappointment was palpable. She posted about being pissed, and hinted at feeling disrespected and caught off guard by someone she had gone out of her way to include in a very personal moment. It was clear that she felt vulnerable. She had opened a door into her past, offered someone a platform, and expected a little grace or kindness in return. Instead, she got awkwardness and thinly veiled sarcasm. It was not just a botched segment, it was personal. What makes this whole incident even more compelling is how it illustrates the dangers of reconnecting with old flames, especially in public. Kristin might have hoped for a sweet, storybook kind of encounter, one that gave fans a glimpse of her innocence and possibly even a happy surprise. But old memories don't always age well, and people often remember events in radically different ways. For Johnny, maybe the relationship had become just a funny footnote. For Kristin, it was more formative, a meaningful part of her emotional history. That disconnect was glaring, and it played out in real time for everyone to see. Despite everything, Kristin handled the moment with as much professionalism as she could muster. She kept the show moving, smiled through the tension, and later gave interviews addressing the encounter. She didn't pretend it hadn't bothered her. Instead, she acknowledged that the experience was not what I had hoped for, but framed it as a learning moment. It reminded her, and her audience, that not every trip down memory lane ends in a warm reunion. Sometimes, the past stays in the past for a reason. For fans of Cavallari, this moment wasn't just tabloid fodder, it was deeply humanizing. We often see reality stars as being overly polished or orchestrated, but this showed Kristin as a real person trying to navigate real emotions under the glare of public scrutiny. There was no script here, just raw disappointment from someone who genuinely wanted a moment of connection. In the bigger picture, this episode adds a new layer to Kristin's public persona. She's not just the sharp, stylish businesswoman or the quick-witted TV personality. She's someone who takes emotional risks, even if they don't pay off. It takes guts to put your personal history on display, and even more courage to admit when it doesn't go well. Kristin's response, though frustrated, also reflected growth. She didn't lash out, didn't throw anyone under the bus. She simply acknowledged her feelings and moved on. In the aftermath, Kristin has turned her attention back to her current projects and family life. She remains committed to being open with her audience, using her podcast and reality tour to explore themes of self-awareness, healing, and personal evolution. Though the reunion didn't yield the warm fuzzy feelings she had hoped for, it became an unexpected lesson in boundaries and expectations, especially when the past is involved. Ultimately, Kristin Cavallari's awkward reunion with her first boyfriend served as a reminder of how complex and layered our early relationships can be, especially when revisited decades later. It also underscored the risks involved in putting your real emotions out into the public eye. But it also reaffirmed why Kristin has remained relevant and relatable for so long, because she's willing to be real, even when it's uncomfortable. And in a media landscape dominated by pretense, that kind of honesty still resonates.